Hey folks, my guest today is Angela Sanduter. She's building a company called RippleWorx with an X on the end.com, a people analytics and retention and optimization platform. Angela, are you ready to take us to the top?
Absolutely.
All right, let's jump in here. So, what's the company doing and what are companies paying you for?
Yeah, good question. So, people analytics, and that's a really broad spectrum of things. But I think what we really focus on is trying to understand the sentiment of your employees or your workforce and how you can individually motivate them and retain them. So, we really see how do we you have so many systems that are available to manage your machines, your processes that you have for efficacy and so forth. But really, you have little to understand the heartbeat of your workforce. And that's what we're really focused on doing.
Does that mean you're selling mainly to HR managers, team leaders, things like that?
It can be HR, absolutely. If HR is a champion for this, then absolutely. And I find that in today's day and industry, HR has taken a whole new road than they have 2 years ago. So now they are the strategic workforce horse to really drive the company forward when you think of your key individuals within your company, which are your assets. So, yes, absolutely HR. But then if it's a champion within a business unit or an operational head, then that individual wants to see that they're keeping their workforce strong. And so we definitely work with operation leads or HR.
And you have a very cool dashboard for folks to use to manage all of this. What are customers paying you on average per month to use the technology?
Yeah, so we have a SaaS license. We have a module. It can start anywhere from $4 to $8 per user per month. So it all depends on the types of features that you're using.
And so what is the average like team sign up? Is it a 10-person team typically, 1,000-person team? What's the average brand paying you per month to use it?
It is when you start to see that you can't talk to every person in every day, and you start to see that the workforce is distributed. So I would say starting out maybe with 50 individuals and then moving all the way up into the multi-thousand individual types
Okay.
of organizations.
When you look across your current customer base, is it fair to say the average team is starting with maybe 50 seats at $4 a pop or about $200 a month?
So you would typically see this closer to 500 users. I'd say that's
Oh,
probably our average customer base size. And so in the $4 to $6 range would probably be the average price point too.
so you're more like mid-market, not SMB. Obviously 500 seats at $4 a pop is about 2 grand a month on average versus a smaller team.
Mhm, mhm.
Okay, very cool. Let's get your backstory here. When did you launch the business? What year?
2018 is when we
And
launched
how
it.
did you come up with the idea?
It was based on the ripple effect. And so we found that many organizations had annual performance reviews, but this wasn't really addressing, are they developing their individuals correctly? Are they training them in the right needs within the organization? So thinking of sort of if you look at the KMO model, I don't know if you're familiar with that, but when you're thinking about knowledge, motivation, organizational needs, and this is something even my husband has written his dissertation on. So it was kind of something we talked about within our family, and
Is he your co-founder?
he is absolutely.
Who owns
So,
more equity, you or him?
that's a great question. I'm not
Come
going to
on. Hopefully you own. You're
answer.
51, he's 49, right?
No, actually, we're split. We have more people that are part of the founding team. So we started working with athletic teams. I'm the tech brains. He's the inspiration behind the methodology, and then we translated this into initially for human performance or a tactical athlete of how do you help to optimize their performance. And how do you get teams aligned for this particular goal? And so we saw that as our initial pilot market, but then it started going to high performing teams. So we worked with production studios where they said, we're kind of like athletes. And then we work with law enforcement where they say, we have to think about motivating, retaining, and even thinking of cultural changes within the workforce. So that's where RippleWorx can really shine in those types of organizations.
I see. Okay. So first customers were athletes and athletic teams. You then scale from there. How many customers are you serving now today?
That's a really good question. So, yeah, probably close to 50 or so customers
50.
today. Yeah.
So 50 teams, police, so that could be one government or one city with a police team would be one out of 50.
Yeah. Yeah.
I see. Do you have any geographic concentration? Are you focused on one city or area?
We've started in the Southeast. So I would say, within Atlanta, Huntsville, where we are headquartered, was the initial start of our customer base, but it has since grown. So now we have customers that are located throughout the US. We have international customers, et cetera. So it has grown beyond just the Southeast region of the US.
Now, how many co-founders are there? You, your husband, who else?
There are 6 of us total. I have to do the math.
Holy mackerel, 6 co-founders?
Yeah, we've expanded that group, I would say. So it wasn't all initial founders, but we've kind of expanded the group of people that have fallen into adding strategic value to the team.
But who was there in 2018? How many?
That's a good question. I think it started out initially with about 4 of us, and then it grew beyond that.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So 6 team members own equity. You're calling them sort of co-founders. What's the total team size today?
35.
35. Wow. And is it heavy engineering? How many engineers?
The majority of our workforce are the engineers. So I would say we're looking at about 15 or so would be in the engineering space. And then you go into sort of the sales engineering realm or the customer support team, which is still kind of that engineering mindset. So, and then business development beyond that.
I see. Do you have quota carrying sales reps?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. How many of those?
So right now we've got 3 of those. So,
Angela, that's a key driver. I mean, that's once you start hiring those and they're running a playbook, ideally you can just hire them effectively, scale, not infinitely, obviously, but that's a big moment for a SaaS startup. How did you have the confidence to hire your first sales rep, and how did you know what quota to give them?
Yeah, no, good question. So we really, when we started to see that we could articulate the value proposition within a particular market, and we saw that it was scalable and the system could be more turnkey or be able to drive itself within those markets, that's where we determined to bring on some quota salespeople. At first, we weren't so successful at this, but with the last 3, we've been able to get this model right and to bring it forward.
Can I ask you what quota you set them on? Like, do they have to close $1 million of new revenue per year, or what target do they have?
Yeah, some are at that amount of money. Yeah.
Interesting. And do you follow pretty standard playbook here, where if their quota is $1 million and they hit it, they're earning about 1/5 of that as total comp, so $200,000 total salary if they hit it?
It's a typical model, yeah. So I would say it varies, but depending on the market and what they may have come in with the base and so forth. So there's some determining factors on there, but yeah.
Okay, interesting. And other question here, obviously, capital allocation. Have you guys bootstrapped, or did you raise a bunch of capital?
We bootstrapped and we raised some capital, but we haven't gone for any serious type. So it was still kind of our friends and family network.
Okay, so how much have you guys raised to date and when?
I think part of that is confidential, so I don't know how much I can really say of that. But yeah, we bootstrapped some, and we've I'll just leave it at that.
Well, this is obviously a key piece to getting your MVP launched and going, is do you choose to bootstrap or not? And it requires different parts of the brain, whether you throw capital at the problem or creativity. Can you share any information there, right? I mean, are we talking like millions of dollars raised or under $1 million and you're being pretty creative?
Yeah, I'd say upwards of $1 million that we raised.
Okay. Yeah. Why? And I don't know how to ask this. Maybe don't be offended by this. I'm generally curious. I mean, what makes this heavy lifting? Why do you need so much capital to launch a tool like this?
Yeah, I'd say because we were expecting somewhat of a SaaS model, right? So when you think about it, most of your upfront costs are in the development cost upfront. And so therefore you don't have the customer base, you're developing the product and determining market fit and MVP and getting that solidified so that you can go into that scalable market model. So the upfront cost oftentimes for a SaaS company or the traditional models of that hockey stick are going to be upfront. And so we paid a lot for development upfront. And so we're getting to the point that we're looking at the scalability and then the upside.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, there's a lot, we've interviewed now maybe over 3,100 or so SaaS founders directly. And there's this big subset called maybe 20% that bootstrap their way past $1 million in revenue. They're all SaaS models. Obviously the flip side is maybe you can move faster with capital, but how do you balance investing in software early versus getting in front of customers so you can fund yourself from customer revenue? Yeah,
no, that's a really, really good question. So I would say what we looked at was bringing in intelligence too. So we wanted to have we wanted the product to be the star of the show, and that required some level of business intelligence that covered beyond just us developing it ourselves within the team or bootstrapping what could be developed. So I would say because we wanted to bring in the expertise and develop the really stable, intelligent, using the predictive modeling, business intelligence, so that it was informative and could scale to larger organizations. I'd say our customer base was different at the beginning. So where other people may try to go to a more friendly customer base, that would be looking at specifically helping you work out the kinks. We were already going to customers and getting the name brands behind some of our early customers that required a more stable product. So therefore, we invested more into development because that was our strategy, and our customer size was larger than just a smaller type of initial footprint.
What's the next big feature update? What are you most excited about?
Continued intelligence. I think one of the things we're really leaning into is natural language processing and being able to understand the myriad of contextualized data and being able to correlate it and make actions based on that. So it'd be really intentional.
Oh, sorry. Hold on, Angela. Those are a lot of big words in one
I know. That goes back to the intelligence. I need to quit speaking that way.
Well, can you make this very real? Okay, I am a policeman working on a police force in Georgia. Where am I writing as a individual police person, writing information so that my organization can analyze it?
Yeah, good question. So, just being able to understand the qualitative feedback that you may give. So even if it's just to a survey response, which is pretty basic, to be able to say, we're seeing the sentiment of the force getting stronger, weaker. These are areas that need to be addressed over time, and making that more precise and being able to correlate it to workload, 911 calls, and other factors so that it is really articulate and actionable.
I see. Okay. Now, in terms of it does. Yeah, that was helpful. Thank you. In terms of growth, so I mentioned first customer athletes back in 2018. You mentioned you've scaled up to 50 now to date. You do have an inside sales org, so you're growing. You mentioned average price, maybe around $2,000 a month. Can I take $2,000 a month times 50? You guys are north of $100,000 a month right now in revenue.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's the next big goal? What are you excited about revenue wise?
I think we're trying to scale to, eventually we'd love to see a 10x model. So I think that's where we're setting our sights on and continue to get a stable and repeatable market base.
Do you think you can break 10 million revenue next year by the end of next year?
We'll see. It depends.
It makes you a little uncomfortable, but maybe a stretch goal, right?
Yeah, we'll see how we end up for the year. So,
do you think you can grow up to that sort of scale, 10 million revenue, without raising more capital, or do you think you'll need to raise more?
We'll see how that goes too. We're always open. We're not in the hunt right now, if that makes sense.
Got it. So you don't think, growth right now, you can keep driving growth without raising more capital using what you've already raised plus customer revenue.
Yeah.
That's obviously a great way to do it. Very cool. All right. Let's wrap up with the famous 5. Number 1, Angela, what's your favorite business book?
Right now, it is Never Split the Difference.
Number 2, is there a CEO you're following or studying?
Oh, just one? I think there are several that I'm following or studying. So I guess it depends on the market. So I'd say
go and pick one.
Pick one CEO that I'm following or studying. It's always interesting to see what's going on with Space Force. And it's always interesting to see what's going on.
With Space Force? Sorry, which CEO are you talking about?
Yeah, no, we're looking at the several things within the Department of Defense. So that's been interesting to see. And then, there are several that I'm following right now.
Okay. Number 3, what's your favorite online tool for building a business?
That's a good question. I think I enjoy the intelligence of Salesforce.
Number 4, how many hours of sleep do you get every night?
Oh, that's a good, easy answer. About 4, 4 to 5.
That's not healthy.
Yeah. Yeah, it depends. I catch up on the weekends, but I love to get up early for a run, and I oftentimes do my best thinking when the house is quiet at night.
Fair enough. And what's your situation? Married, single, kiddos?
Married, definitely, and kiddos. Yes.
How many kids?
3.
Oh, but you are busy. Okay, Angela, do you mind me asking how old you are?
Yes.
Okay. Take us. The reason I ask is take us back to your 20-year-old self. What's something you wish that she knew?
No, that's a good question. I think it would be just to have more confidence in the beginning and speak up. I was a lone woman in tech for a long period of time, and so I'd say in that situation, just learn to speak up earlier.
Guys, RippleWorx in the very competitive and fast-growing HR tech space. They start off in 2018 helping athletes and athletic teams manage the sentiment of those teams, now working with police forces, production studios, and 50 other logos and brands, paying on average $2,000 a month to help them manage, again, their people and sentiment analysis, doing about $2,000 a month per customer, over $100,000 a month in revenue as they look to scale. They have raised some capital, but are trying to be smart about it with their team of 15 engineers, onboarding new sales reps as we speak to keep driving growth. She's excited about the new NLP modules they're releasing here shortly. Angela, thank you for taking us to the top.
Thank you so much.
One more thing before you go. We have a brand new show every Thursday at 1 p.m. Central. It's called Shark Tank for SaaS. We call it Deal or Bust. One founder comes on, 3 hungry buyers, they try and do a deal live, and the founder shares back-end dashboards, their expenses, their revenue, ARPU, CAC, LTV, you name it, they share it. And the buyers try and make a deal live. It is fun to watch every Thursday, 1 p.m. Central. Additionally, remember, these recorded founder interviews go live. We release them here on YouTube every day at 2 p.m. Central. To make sure you don't miss any of that, make sure you click the subscribe button below here on YouTube, the big red button, and then click the little bell notification to make sure you get notifications when we do go live. I wouldn't want you to miss breaking news in the SaaS world, whether it's an acquisition, a big fundraise, a big sale, a big profitability statement, or something else. I don't want you to miss it. Additionally, if you want to take this conversation deeper and further, we have by far the largest private Slack community for B2B SaaS founders. You want to get in there. We've probably talked about your tool if you're running a company, or your firm if you're investing. You can go in there and quickly search and see what people are saying. Sign up for that at nathanlatka.com/Slack. In the meantime, I'm hanging out with you here on YouTube. I'll be in the comments for the next 30 minutes. Feel free to let me know what you thought about this episode. And if you enjoyed it, click the thumbs up. We get a lot of haters that are mad at how aggressive I am on these shows, but I do it so that we can all learn. We have to counter those people. We got to push them away. Click the thumbs up below to counter them, and know that I appreciate your guys' support. All right, I'll be in the comments. See ya.